This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so let me quickly recap what exactly we have done, and then we'll start with the new topic. So in the last session, we tried to create a material master. I think we were able to create. We have seen various different settings related to material master. So if I go to MM03, yeah, this is the material, raw material that we created. Okay, under this plant and this storage location. Right, so this is what we created, and we were trying to see the field status. We already seen how to create the new material groups. We have also seen how to create a new purchasing groups and all. What we were trying to do is the field status group, right? How to control which field is mandatory, which field is optional. Okay, so for example, let's try to create a new GL account, completely new GL account. So if I go to, sorry, new material account, not GL. Let's try to create a new material. We already created a raw material. Now let's assume I want to create another raw material, which is just the maybe the color. Okay, so apart from the alcohol, in order to manufacture the sanitizer, the material that we are going to consider as a finished product, let's say we want to have a color in the sanitizer. So what I'll do is I'll go to material type ROH, which is against the raw material. Let's press enter. Industry sector is a mandatory field, so I'm just entering any industry, let's say chemical industry. Okay, and these are the things which I already selected in the last session. So basic data 1, 2, purchasing, because I want to purchase this material from outside. Okay, storage, how I'm going to store this material in my stock. Okay, and let's press enter. So my plant is RC01 and storage location that I use is S001. Let's continue. Okay, you can see now some of the fields are mandatory here. You can see the description, unit of measurement, material group, while the other fields like old material number, there are a lot of other fields, valid from, these are all optional fields. So how can I tell the system which field I want to keep it mandatory and which field I want to keep it optional? Okay, so let's say I want to tell the system this material group, I don't want it to be the mandatory field. I want to make this field as optional field. Okay, so in order to do this, I first of all, I need to know the technical name of this particular field. Okay, what is the technical name? Technical name means if you just do F1, okay, if you just do F1 on this particular field, okay, you have to bring your cursor in this field. F1, or maybe in your PC it can be function F1. You have to check which one is working. Okay, ultimately you need to go to help. F1 is nothing but help. In this one, you will click on this technical information. Okay, and you will be able to see the field name here, MATKL. MATKL is a field name. Now we want to check whether this field is made as mandatory from the configuration, and if yes, we want to make it optional. Okay, so in order to make this field optional, first of all, I need the technical name, which is MATKL. And using this field, what I can do now is I can go to SPRO, okay, IMG. So all the material related settings are done in Logistics General. I'll go to Logistics General, Material Master, Field Selection. You can see there is a separate folder for field selection. Assign the fields to the field selection groups. Okay, let me open this and let's search for the field which is MATKL. So either you can scroll down like this or you can just search from here also. Okay, so I'm doing this MATKL. Okay, even if you do Control F or Control F will not work here. Let's do this field name. No, just give me a minute. Position in the field name. So it is MATKL. If it is not coming like this, normally for material information, you also need to check the table name. I'll show you what exactly I mean. So again, go to function F1. So you can see this field name is MATKL and table name is MARA, MARA. This MARA is a very very critical table in SAP which stores the material level information. So MARA table, under the MARA table, MATKL is what we want to check. If you see here, the field groups, these are available as first characters. You can see here, this first few characters are table, dash, and next few characters are the fields. So if I want to find a particular field, I can write MARA dash MATKL. Okay, exactly, material group. So you can see this material group is available under the selection group 2. This is important because we need to understand which selection group. This MATKL is part of selection group 2. If you want to open this, it will open the material selection 2, field selection group, you can see 2, which is related to the material group. And here you can see some of the, based on the field reference, for some of the fields it is optional and for some of the groups it is mandatory. So if you come down, okay, currently what we are using, I think FERT, oh sorry, ROH. So if I go for ROH, see here, I'm just moving this down, so I'm trying to find ROH. You can see for some of the field groups, it is display. Display means it will not allow you to change. It will be in the display mode. You can see for ROH, it is required field. Okay, for ROH, you can see this is a required field. So what we want is, we want to make it as optional. Okay, let's try to save it. Just press enter. If you are getting this warning message, just press enter. Okay, now if you try to go to material master once again, okay, I need to refresh this. I cannot use the same screen again. I have to go out of this screen and I have to enter transaction MM01 once again. Just give me a minute, system got stuck. Okay, so /n MM01. Again, I'll enter the same material, enter, enter. It is still showing as mandatory field. So what I need to check is number 1. Is this saved? Let's go back. Let's go back completely, and also let's verify the basic settings and the material types, attributes for material types. So for material type ROH, you can see field reference is ROH. So it should be changed actually. Just give me a minute. Let me try to log off and log in once again. Okay, MM01, color industry sector. I'm going with chemical. Material type is ROH. Enter. Enter. Another enter. It is still showing as mandatory field. So there is something more which we need to see in the configuration. One option is whatever we have done. Let's see if there is any other setting also at the industry sector or at the plant level. So let's go to logistics general once again. Material master, field selection. First one is assign the fields to the field selection. So our field is Mara dash MAT. What is that? You remember?
MATKL.
MATKL, yes. So MATKL. And if I go to group from here, material group, and within this, I need to go to ROH, which is optional. From here, this is fine. So by field reference, and then let's see by field selection. This is not required. So this should be, let's see the other configurations. So this is number one. Number two is maintain the field selection for data screens. This is exactly same. If you see the field status group, what is our field status group? It was 2, right? If you go to field status group 2, here you would be able to see, no, just 1 minute. What was our group in the last configuration? We need to note down this so that we don't forget it. So MATNR slash, sorry, MARA slash MATKL. It is 2 only. Selection group is 2. Let's go to field selection group. Just 1 minute. Field selection group 2, MATKL, enter. And here in ROH, it is taking me to the same screen. Okay, so for ROH, we already maintained as optional. Selection group 2 is optional. Let's go and see the other settings. Let's see the industry sector wise. So industry sector wise, field reference is C. Let's go and see at the C level also. No, there is something wrong. So let me check this, otherwise it will create a confusion for you. Let me check this and come back to you. But in short, from this field selection, you can control which fields you want to keep it as optional, which fields you want to make it mandatory. So there are 4 options. You can make it optional, you can make it mandatory, you can make it display, or you can even suppress also. Suppress means that field will completely go away from here. It will not ask you the information to be filled in this field at all. Right? So just remember that it is possible to control the field status for any particular field in the material master. Okay, apart from this, any other questions on the material master? There are a lot of other things which we will see as per the tabs. Okay, so as of now, we just discussed the basics. For example, we discussed the fields related to basic data 1, basic data 2, purchasing, and few more. We have still not discussed any fields related to sales. So that will come when we will try to do the later on transactions. For example, when we do the purchasing cycle, we can again come here. We will see what are the mandatory fields from the purchasing point of view, which field will make what impact when you do the purchasing cycle. Okay, so that particular end to end we will see when we'll do the transactions. But as of now, just remember the material master is one of the critical master data for all the modules, not only for but also for SD, PP, even the financial information needs to be maintained. So whenever you are doing any transaction where the material movement is involved, you definitely need to provide the material master data for that particular tab. Okay, so if you want to use uh, anything in sales, if you want a particular material to be used in sales, you have to extend the sales use. If you want to do any transactions related to purchase, you have to extend the purchase view. Similarly, warehouse management has its own views, APO has its own views. So accordingly, material master has different departments who are going to maintain this master data. Okay, and which departments to be maintained for which particular material it is determined by the material type. Okay, in the material type, we go and tell which particular departments would be responsible for maintaining this material master data. Is it clear? Any questions on material, whatever we discussed till now? Okay, if no questions, we will introduce the new topic today, another kind of master data, which is nothing but vendor. Okay, and together with vendor, we will also try to see the customer also, because most of the things in the vendor and customer in S/4HANA is same. Okay, so if you want to create a purchase order, let's assume tomorrow, if you want to start with the transactional data, if I want to show you the purchase requisition, purchase order, we will not be able to create the purchase order till the time we don't have the material master, and second, we don't have the vendor master. Okay, if you are going for service master, that is separate thing. We will do the separate service cycle in which we will create the service master data, we will create a service PO, so that would be the completely separate thing. But the first scenario that we want to create, maybe tomorrow or in the next session, is we want to see the end-to-end cycle of material purchase, right? And if you want to do that, at least two things which are required is material, which we already have now. Okay, we already created one raw material which we can directly purchase. But the second thing that we need in order to create a purchase cycle is a vendor. And that is the reason today we will discuss about the vendor master data, how it is created in SAP. Okay. Now, if some of you have worked on SAP ECC, okay, and you already know how the vendor master was created in ECC, that same thing will not work in S/4HANA. Okay, so for example, if you go to transaction FK01 or XK01, what are the old transactions that you were using in ECC? Anyone? You remember which was the transaction code that we used in ECC?
Vikram, what was the question?
Question is, do you remember which transaction code we use in ECC to create a vendor master data?
K something, K0.
XK01. XK01.
It is XK01 is for creating the centralized vendor master data. FK01 if you are creating a vendor in FI, and MK01 if you are only creating the vendor in the for the purchasing of. Right. So if you try all these transactions, let's start with XK01. Okay, you can see this XK01 is taking you to the new transaction directly. Is this the same transaction that we were using in ECC?
This is the BP.
Transaction code is same. Transaction code is same, but you can see the screen is completely different, right? And you are getting a message redirecting to transaction BP as transaction XK01 is obsolete, which means system is automatically redirecting you to transaction BP. Have you used transaction BP in ECC? In ECC, there is no transaction code which is BP. Am I correct? Is there any transaction code in ECC? Yes or no?
No BP.
No BP.
No, in SRM, you have BP in SRM, CRM and all. Not in ECC.
Okay. See, BP transaction was there in ECC also. Even if you are not using CRM, SRM, transaction code BP is still there. Only thing is, it was only required to be created if you are using advanced modules of SAP like CRM and SRM. If you're not using those modules, then even if it is available, we don't need to create the BP. Okay, so BP transaction is pretty much available. Yes.
Vikram, BP is there in ECC because it's basically replicated through middleware. So that's why it is there. But as such, in ECC, we don't use that.
Exactly, we don't use, but practically it is possible to create the BP in ECC also. But again, since it was not mandatory, we were not creating it. In S4HANA, the only way to create a vendor master data is via BP. Okay, so if you are creating I will show you how to create the vendor master data in ECC also, because there are few guys who are completely new to SAP. But first I will show you how to create a vendor master data in SAP S4HANA. Okay, because it is completely different than how you were creating in the ECC system. So simple, if you want to create a vendor in SAP S4HANA, the only transaction that you will be using is transaction BP. BP stands for business partner. Okay, you will come to this transaction. Here, you will be able to see three options. You can create a business partner as a person. You can create a business partner as an organization, and you can create a business partner as a group. Now, when it comes to creating the vendor, see, business partner is a very big terminology. Business partner is not only used for vendors. Okay, vendor is one of the type of business partner, but there are a lot of other types of business partners. For example, a business partner can be your employee. A business partner can be your salesperson. A business partner can be the bank representative. So these are the examples that I'm showing you for person. Similarly, a business partner can be your bank. A business partner can be your loan agency who is providing you the loans. A business partner can be a customer, a vendor. So these are all the kind of examples within organization. So whenever you are creating a business partner for your vendor, you will be selecting the organization here. Yes, Raj.
Business partner is anybody who interacts with the organization is a business partner.
Exactly. If you see here, these are the different roles the business partner can play. So you can see bidder, the billing unit, bank customer, account holder, authorized drawer. So there are actually a lot of different modules in SAP which are making the use of this business partner concept. Okay, for us in MM, we are only going to use the business partner for maybe I'll say two roles. Out of this available roles, you can see there are a lot of roles for which business partner can be used. But out of this, if I talk from the MM point of view, whenever you are creating a vendor, we are only going to use two roles related to vendor master data. Those are FLVN00 and FLVN01. These are the two roles that we are going to use to create the vendors. Vendors and suppliers is one and the same thing. Okay, so terminology may change. Vendor is nothing but the supplier. So FLVN00 and FLVN01, these are the two roles which we are going to use under the business partner concept. Same way, if you want to create it as a customer, for customer again there are two roles, FLCU00 and FLCU01. These are the two roles that we are going to use to create the business partner as our customer. Okay, so whenever you are creating a vendor, make sure that you select one of these roles. There are two roles which are provided for vendor, FLVN00 and FLVN01. Now what is the difference? The difference is FLVN00 will only allow you to create a supplier for a particular company code from the financial accounting point of view. Okay, so it is, you can say it is a replacement of transaction FK01. In ECC, we were using transaction FK01 to create the vendor for a financial accounting. Okay, just remember, when it comes to the vendor creation, vendor has to be created at three different places. Okay, this is again a question which can be asked in the exam, certification exam. Segments in vendor master data. There are three segments in vendor master data. Number one is general segment. Number two is company code segment, which is required from financial point of view. So all the finance information would be entered at the company code level. And the third segment is purchasing org, okay, which is for So these are the three segments where the vendor master data is created. Okay, so in ECC, we were using transaction FK01, XK01, but in S4HANA, as we discussed, we'll be using transaction BP. So whenever we want to maintain the company code information, okay, if I only want to create this vendor for my company code, I'll be using role FLVN00. And whenever I want to create this vendor at purchase organization, I'll be using role FLVN01. Okay, and for general data, system will automatically create BUT000. Okay, let me show you. So if you, sorry, not BUT000, that is a table. BUT000 is a table. This is all time 0. So for general data, system will create 6 times 0 as a business partner role. Okay, let me show you one example, then it will become clear. So simple, I want to create a vendor. Okay, I want to create a vendor. I came to transaction BP. Once I came to transaction BP, I have clicked on the new organization. System is asking me, you want to create this business partner as what? I'm telling the system, I want to create this business partner as my vendor for company code. Okay, if you change the role, system will give you this message. You just need to click on create. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing is system is also asking you the grouping. So as of now, I am selecting any grouping, but later on I need to also explain you how these groupings are created. Okay, how you can create your own groupings and how you can create your own number ranges. As of now, I'm just selecting the standard grouping, which is pre-delivered by SAP, which is 0001. Okay, now you can see all the additional information of this vendor. Whenever you are creating the vendor, you need to provide the vendor name, his address, okay, the communication mode, mobile number, email IDs, and all you can provide. So let's say the title is company and the name is, let's say, test vendor. In my case, I'm just creating this as a test vendor. Okay, test vendor for which company code? Our company code is RECH, and our plant is RC01. So I'm creating the vendor with the name test vendor RECH. Search term, someone has made it mandatory. I'll show you how to make it mandatory and optional. So this is, if you want to search this vendor, what values you want to write so that it can easily search. That is nothing but search term. If you come down, it will ask you, see, there are some additional informations also. For example, whether this is a VIP customer or something like that. So these are all optional fields. If you want to enter, fine. If you don't want to enter, system will not stop you. Same way as we have seen in the case of material master also, we can determine which fields are mandatory, which fields are optional. So here also I will show you in the business partner screen also, how can I make some fields as mandatory, some fields as optional. Okay, so here you will enter the address of a particular customer. Let's say the address of this customer is BKC. Okay, postal code is 4000, and this city is Mumbai. Okay, country is India. So whatever is the address of that particular vendor, you will enter all those address information here. Okay, if you just come down to check if there are any additional fields, for example, you can see language is a mandatory field. This language is a communication language. So from SAP, you can send lot of communications to your vendors. For example, every monthly or every quarterly, if you want to send the statements, that in our books, this is the total liability that we need to pay to you. Okay, so if you want to send those kind of, or maybe even the POs, whenever you are creating the purchase orders, if you want to send the purchase orders to your vendors, what should be the language in that particular purchase order? So that information you can enter it here. Normally, most of the times you will find it English. Okay, additional details like telephone, mobile number, fax, email IDs. If all this information is provided to you by the vendor, you should, all the information should be entered here properly. Okay, so this is a general information. Whatever we have entered, name and address, this normally comes under the general information. If you remember, I told you there are 3 segments. In general segment, we make this information available. Name and address information is normally available in general table. Okay, once the general information is done, then you will be able to see company code button here. Okay, if you select FLVN00, then only you will be able to see company code button here. If you don't select FLVN00, this company code button will not come here. Okay, so you'll click on the company code, and you have to tell the system for which company code are you creating this vendor, right? You have to tell the company, tell the system for which particular company code are you creating this vendor. What is our company code? Our company code is RECH. Okay, this is the company code that we created. If I press enter, now system will ask you additional fields related to company code data. So which data we are maintaining now? We are maintaining company code relevant data. General data we already maintained. Name and address information we already maintained. Now we are entering company code related data, which is under FLVN00. Okay, and so for that, you can see again there are some fields which are mandatory. So sort key, I will select it from here. I'll just select anyone as of now. And the reconciliation account, this is the integration with FI. Okay, whenever you get any invoice from this vendor, whenever this vendor is submitting you any invoice, at that time, this invoice will also flow into FI. This invoice will also go to the accounting. So system is asking you, when this invoice will go to accounting, which GL account should be credited, right? So that's the reason this information will be provided to you by your FI counterpart. And normally this company code relevant information in the vendor master data is entered by finance team itself, because they know which GL account should be debited. They know what are the other settings related to the financial data they will be maintaining here in the company code tab. Okay, so as of now, system is just asking for the reconciliation account. If I do F4, as of now, there is no reconciliation account created. Okay, so if this is happening in your system, what you will do in this case?
Create a reconciliation account and assign it. I have a question, Vikram. Is there anywhere we can default this by having exit? Because we know if I select the role, I know that because we are going to, unless until I have 2 different reconciliation account, generally it's 1 reconciliation account if we want to use.
Raj, just give me a minute. First of all, let me explain what is this. I'll come to your question.
Okay.
Yeah. So first thing, Raj, you said you will create a reconciliation account, right? If there is no reconciliation account here, what will you do if you are a MM consultant? Or if you are a MM user, end user, forget about consultant, because this creation of suppliers and all would be handled by whom? It would be handled by the end user.
Yeah.
Right. So if he is not able to find any reconciliation account, what should he do?
Create account.
Connect to FI consultant.
He will be only able to, yeah, he will be only able to create the account if he is authorized to do that. Right. But if he is not authorized to do it, he has to go to the GL team. He has to go to the GL team who would be responsible for creation of this particular GL account. Right. In our case also, let's assume we are the MM consultants and we are just set up this system. If you don't have the reconciliation account, into whom will you contact? You will normally contact the FI consultant to check with him which reconciliation accounts need to be created and which reconciliation account I should use in a particular customer or vendor. Right. So in this particular case, because this is the test system, you can create the reconciliation account on your own. In the test system, when you are practicing, you should not be dependent on any other user to provide you the reconciliation account. But when it comes to the practical system, when you are actually working in the system, this reconciliation information should come from the finance counterparts. Okay. So just for testing purpose, how are you going to create a GL account? You will go to transaction FS00. Okay. You will create a new GL. Make sure that the company code is the company code where you are trying to create a vendor. If this company code is not same here by default, you have to click on this change company code button. Okay, and provide your company code which you want to use. Once this is done, you can click on this create button and you need to create a new GL account. Okay, so in my case, in our case, in RECH, we defined the liability accounts will start from 1000. So I will say 1000 is my liability account. And then in GL account type, I have to select as a balance sheet account. Account group, normally vendor accounts are liability accounts. Okay, and here I will provide, this is my accounts payables. Okay, and very importantly, in control data, in reconciliation account for account type, this is the most important field. Only when you provide here vendor, then only this account will appear in your F4 list for creation of vendor. Okay, this is if there are thousands of GL accounts, only those GL accounts where the reconciliation account is defined as vendors, only those GL accounts will be available for your transaction, or sorry, when you are creating the vendor. Okay, let me show you. So if I come to create bank interest, make sure that you enter here G067 with accounts and save it for the reconciliation. Okay, so accounts payable GL account is created now. Now if you come to your organization once again and try to do F4, so you are able to see that particular account that is created using FI transaction pay. Okay, so let's double click on 1000. Now if in addition to this, if there are any additional GL accounts which are, in additional fields which are mandatory, you need to enter those fields. Otherwise, you can just click on save. Okay, so you can see system has generated the business partner number. So this is a business partner number which was generated by system, and this is a vendor code which is generated by the system. Okay. Now, Raj, coming to your question, you are saying, is there any way in which I can determine this reconciliation account automatically, right?
Yeah, based on the role, can we do it? That's what.
No, see, practically speaking, Raj, there are multiple reconciliation accounts for AP. Just to give you an example, there is a separate GL account for domestic vendors. There is a separate GL account for foreign vendors. There is a separate GL account for intercompany vendors, service vendors. There are a lot of there is no one GL account which is normally assigned for all the vendors. Different vendors will get different reconciliation accounts. If I do it by default, if I tell, okay, if this is the role, system should get one single reconciliation account, that would be the wrong process. Clear, Raj?
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Let me give you the example. Let me give you the example. So whenever you are creating a GL, let's say I created as a test vendor. Let's assume I am creating the vendor which is a domestic vendor. So for domestic vendor, my reconciliation account may differ. So there is no one single GL account which I want to have a reconciliation account. Based on what type of vendor I am creating, there can be multiple different GL accounts which I want to assign here. So if I do it by default, it will create a problem. Customers will not agree to it because they want a separate GL account to be used based on the different types of vendors.
No, I got that, Vikram. I just want to know, is there exit? Because some companies might not have that money. Say for international, sellers, and a domestic, we might have only two. And in that scenario, I can create account number group and I can determine what type of vendor we are going to start. I want to know, is there an
Right.
exit where I can default so that the user shouldn't be reliant on entering, like in this scenario, what exactly? Is that a way I asked? That's it. But apart from that, I understood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I think you asked on the role. The confusion was it should be at the group level. So normally what we do is role is only one. FLVN00 is the only role
Okay.
for all the vendors. But within that, I can segregate as per the groupings. I can create different groupings for domestic, foreign,
Okay.
intercompany, and based on the groupings, normally companies ask to determine the reconciliation account automatically.
Thing I can do.
Right?
Okay. I
So
got it.
that is
Yeah.
possible. It's possible, but again, not in the standard way. As you said, there is a user exit which we need to
Yeah.
use in order to determine that GL account automatically.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So now, once you created the vendor, let me show you the vendor once again. So if I go to transaction BP, now let's assume I don't remember the customer or vendor that I created. Just now I created a vendor, but I forgot to take the number. So what should I do? So you can see find the business partner by a customer number, a supplier number. So I'll say by the supplier number. You will come here and you will again do F4. Okay, and you will tell I want to see all the vendors created in company code RECH. Or maybe if you remember the search code, search term, you will just write the search term and system will be able to show you that particular vendor. Right, so this is the vendor we created just now. If you want to open this vendor, click on start, double click on this, and you can see this is how the vendor is created. So you can see this vendor is available at 6x0 role for the general data. So general data including the name and address is available in the general role. In addition to this, this is created at FLVN00, which is supplier for financial accounting, and you can see company code tab has become available. So I'll go to company code tab, and you can see in the company code tab, system is able to show us the information related to financial accounting that we entered while creation of this vendor. Right? So now let's talk about how these two numbers got generated, how the system knows that the vendor number or the business partner number should take this number range. Okay. Yes, Abhilash.
Yeah, yeah, Vikram. So I have one query. When we create STO, basically we will take like whatever the plant is present, we will consider that as a vendor. Suppose we have here vendor and the business partner, right? So what does it make difference when we create an STO? Like, do we need to take the vendor number or we need to consider the business partner that we have created?
Right. So irrespective of what transaction you are doing, it may be STO, it may be the normal purchase, anything, you are only going to consider the vendor number. We are not going to use the business partner number in any of the scenarios within MM. This business partner number would be only used if you are using the advanced modules like SRM, CRM, APO. Only in those cases this business partner number will come into the picture. But otherwise, if you just want to do the normal MM related transactions, you will still continue to use this vendor number.
Okay, Vikram. Okay, and okay, so we don't have any significance of business partner is not present in ECC. You mean to say whatever the SD or MM area, whatever might be.
Now let me tell you why exactly. I'll not say there is no significance of business partner. See, the thing is, if you want to use the core features of MM and SD, then
Okay.
you will not be using any features of business partner. But what is happening is, see, previously, I'll tell you why exactly SAP came up with this approach of business partner in S4HANA. See,
Okay.
in ECC, CRM and SRM, they were completely independent components. They were completely outside the ECC system, right? In
Yeah.
S4HANA, SAP is trying to bring some features of SRM and CRM within the main system itself. So if you want to implement CRM or SRM, no need to go for the separate server. You can use it within the same system as for HANA system. And that is the reason if you want to use everything in one single box, then definitely the business partner has to be created if you want to use CRM, if you want to use SRM, right? That is the reason
Okay,
SAP
yes.
came up with this option of creating the business partner for each and every customer and vendor. Saying that, again, even in S4 HANA, you can say I'm not using SRM, CRM. In that case, or maybe your question can be, I just want to do the MM and SD related transactions. So shall I use a
Yeah,
business partner? The answer is no, because previously also business partner was only created for CRM and SRM.
CRM. Yes.
Now, if I want to use basic core processes in MM and SD, definitely I don't need to worry about the business partner. I can continue doing my transactions using vendor number, but when it comes to the vendor, I cannot create a vendor without the business partner assignment. So I'm just creating a business partner because it is technically mandatory. But otherwise, functional use as of now, if I'm not using SRM and CRM, I'm not going to use business partner from the functionality point of view. I will continue to use the vendor and the customer number for all MM, SD, FI related transactions.
Okay, so you mean to say like to bring the functionalities of CRM and SRM into the ECC like into ECC, so we are going with the business partner.
Right, exactly.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Just I have a clarification. Without business
Yes,
partner, you can't do any vendor, right? Because eh, when you go to the existing ECC system to create a customer or a vendor, it is going to take you here. So technically, whether CRM or SRM is irrelevant. I think with HANA, I could see that without BP, you can't proceed anywhere. Without, how will I create a new vendor in this scenario? If I go to a normal ECC box, you will be able to create a vendor, but in HANA, it takes you the BP, right?
right.
That's my understanding. So technically, it is mandatory, whether you implement whatever it is. SRM and CRM is irrelevant because previously they had that middleware. I think they are abolished this middleware and bought everything in one suite. But business partner as part of S4HANA, my understanding looks like without that, you can't create both customer and vendor.
Exactly. It will not allow you to create a vendor or
Yeah.
customer if the business partner is not created. So technically, it is mandatory to create a business partner. And once the business partner is created, only then you will be able to extend that business partner to vendor or customer or both.
Where do I put the bank account details over here? Because in BP, you have their own bank account place, but in vendor master, we
Bank
can
account details, yeah, bank account details you'll be able to enter in the general data
the
itself.
payment. Okay, so it's
This is
sitting in the BP and the header, right? Yeah, so it is sitting in the BP only. Okay, thanks. That's no change to the
right.
existing BP anyway.
No. See, even the fields, if you see internally, if you have understood how exactly the ECC works, if you see the fields, okay, so let me, this is a vendor that we created just now. If you see the fields internally, if I go to company code data, all the fields, they were there in ECC also. Only thing is they were available in FK01. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there is no change. If you see from this point onwards, just forget about this upper point. This is nothing but the common master data that we were creating in ECC using FK01. Right?
Okay.
So all the other fields which were
Yeah.
there in ECC, they are still there in S4HANA also.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now we need to understand two things. Number one, how
I
this
have one
business
more
partner.
question. One more question. Sorry to interrupt. How does this
Go
work
ahead.
with MDM? Because some companies use MDM where a centralized master data is created, right? So we have a direct interface to create this. Is it in that scenario?
Uh, Raj, I think let's keep that discussion separate because the
Okay.
thing is, I think there are few guys who are completely beginners. So for them, it would be
Okay.
very difficult to digest all these things. But yes, let's do one thing. we will complete the session, and then we will give some time for the experienced guys to ask those questions which are relevant to the like little bit of knowledge if you already have on ECC.
Okay, sorry. Thanks. Yeah.
No problem, no problem, Raj. Okay, so now two things that we need to understand. Number one, how system determined this business partner number. Okay, so let me take you to creation of another business partner, another vendor. If you remember last time I selected this 0001. Okay, now question is, if I want to create my own groupings, okay, these are all the groupings which are appearing which were there already. Okay, or maybe someone who is practicing on the server, they might have created. But if I want to create my own groupings, how to do that? And before we go to that, how to create the groupings, first of all, why should we create the groupings? How will you decide how many groupings should be created for a particular customer whenever you are going for the implementation project? Okay, so just remember, when it comes to creation of vendors, when you go to the companies, when you implement SAP for some of the companies, you have to understand how they want to differentiate their different kinds of vendors. I'll just give you one example. So we are implementing this for Reliance Chemicals. This is our RECH, is our company which for where we are implementing SAP. Let's assume this company has told us that there are different kind of vendors. Okay, different types of vendors. Okay, let's say number one is domestic. I'm keeping it very simple, but normally it depends upon the industry where the company is working. But at least this 2-3 types which I'm creating, you will find almost everywhere. Almost every company is having different types of vendors. At least these are the different types of vendors that every company will have. They want to segregate their domestic vendors, they want to segregate their foreign vendors, and they want to segregate their intercompany vendors. So Abhilash, you asked for STO. So normally STO vendors are created as intercompany vendors. Okay, so they will be created as this type of vendors, intercompany. Now, in addition to this, if you want to have a separate service vendors, so this domestic and foreign vendors are providing you materials. These service vendors are only providing you the services, right? So let's assume these are the different types of vendors that your customer has asked you to differentiate. How can you differentiate them in SAP? Do we have any kind of vendor types in SAP? We don't have any system settings where we can say vendor types, but we have the system in SAP which is called as vendor account groups. So if you want to differentiate different vendors in SAP, what we do is we create different account groups. Okay, so based on the requirement of the customer, if a customer says I want to segregate all these different types of vendors, what we recommend him to go for the different account groups. How can we create these account groups now? So in order to create the account groups, you will go to IMG. Okay, this is a vendor account group creation, and vendor creation is a joint responsibility normally because it is created at FI also and purchasing also. So normally it comes under financial accounting. The groupings I'm talking about, creation of groupings. When you are working on the project, as I told you, it is a joint responsibility. So maybe you can provide the information to the FI consultant and they will be creating the account groups for you. Or maybe the FI consultants will ask you to create it on your own. So that totally depends upon the responsibility which is given to FI and MM consultant. But ultimately, it is created under financial accounting, account receivables and payables. You can see vendor accounts. If you open the vendor accounts, master data, preparation for creating the vendor master data. Okay, if you open this, you can see define the different account groups with screen layout. Okay, I'll tell you what are screen layouts. So this is a place where you will be able to create multiple different groups, vendor account groups. Okay, so simple, if I want to create these 4 vendor account groups, what I'll do is I have to provide 4-digit codes. So let's say I'm starting with R. R means Reliance, in our case, DOM. R, FOR, RINT for intercompany, and RSER. So these are the 4 groups I want to create. Let's see if these numbers are available. If someone has already used the code, then you have to change your code. So first is RDOM. This is, I will say, domestic vendors for RECH, which is Reliance Chemicals. Okay, press enter. You can see an entry already exists. Someone has already used this RDOM. So maybe RDO1. Okay, so you have to provide the unique code. See, this is a test system. So everyone is creating their own account groups. But when it comes to the real-time system, when you are working on the production system of the client, there you will be only able to find only minimum account groups are created. Okay, and that is the reason you have to provide the unique code which is not already being used. So RDO1 is my first account group. You provide the code, you provided the description, and now again you can provide the field status. Okay, I told you whenever you are creating a vendor, which field is mandatory, which field is optional. Okay, all these things can be controlled from this vendor account groups itself. Okay, so for example, it is asking you which information is mandatory in the general data. These are the 3 segments that we discussed. General data segment, which consists of name and address information, company code data, which includes the financial information of a vendor, purchasing data, which is related to the related data of a particular vendor. Right. So for example, if I go to company code data in account management, you will find some of the fields are mandatory, some of the fields are optional. Okay, if you want to make a particular field mandatory, for example, I want to make the reconciliation account field mandatory. I can come here and I can say required field. Just remember, this is also a very important question in exam. What are the different types of field controls? So one is suppress. Suppress means completely hidden. This field will not appear at all. Second is required, which means user has to provide this value. If he is missing it, system will throw error. Third one is optional, which is mostly used in all the cases. You can see optional means it is up to the user whether he wants to input the values or not. And last one is display. Display means it will not allow you to change. It will just show you whatever values is available. It will not allow you to change. Okay, so as of now, I am making reconciliation account field as mandatory field in my account group RD01. Let's try to save it. Okay, so this is how I have created the new account group. Okay, if you want to change even sort key, because these are the normal 2 fields which we keep mandatory. So I'll come to the sort key also and make it mandatory. Let's save it. So like this, I can create 4 different account groups which are required. So I can again start with the new entry, or even I can copy this. I can copy this, click on this RD01 and click on the copy as button. So this is for foreign. I'll say RFOR, and here I'll say this is FOREGHN. Okay, so foreign vendors for RECH. If you see the company code data, it is already copied. So it will show you the same thing that we managed in our first account group. Okay, let's save it. So now we have 2 account groups which are already created. Let me save it properly. That it already saved. Okay, same way, if you want to continue, you want to create another one. Again, I'll copy. So this is, let's say, for intercompany vendors. I'll write RINT. This is interco. Okay, intercompany vendors for RECH. Enter. This is already used. Again, I have to provide some other code. So I'm saying RIN1. Enter and save it. And the last one that I'll use is R service for the service vendors. So depending upon how many types of vendors customer wants to create. Customer means the client who is implementing SAP. You have to check with them accordingly. You will be creating this many number of account groups. Okay, enter and save. Okay, this is number one. Now, if I want the numbers to be generated, so whenever I am creating a vendor, system will generate a vendor number. Every time if I want to create a domestic vendor, system will generate a vendor number. System will generate a number for the foreign vendors, for intercompany vendors, for service vendors. So if I want a unique number to be used, if I want the system should use numbers from, let's say, 1 to, I have to see which numbers are available first. Otherwise, system will not take those numbers. Let me try. So this is where you create the number ranges. Create the number ranges for the vendor accounts. Okay, so if I go for intervals, you can see these are the intervals which are already created by the users who are working on this system. Okay, there are a lot of number ranges you can see. Okay, so we have to create the number ranges. So I'm clicking on new, or I can use the existing number range which is already used. Let's take this example. See, you can see someone has already created number range Y1. In Y1, the numbers will start from 7000 to 7999. And then Y8, which is start with 3000500 to 300,599. So what I'll do is, instead of creating my own unnecessarily including more number ranges here, I will use Y1, Y8, and Y9. So what I'll do is, I'll tell the system for domestic, I will use Y1, okay, and for foreign, I will use Y8. For internal, I will use Y9. And for service vendors also, I will use Y1. Okay, because I want to use 3 number ranges. If I want, I can create the 4th number range and I can provide the numbers. How to create a number range? Maybe I'll show you one. So in order to create a
Vikram,
new number range, yes.
Vikram, Y1 is external, right? So you might have
Yes,
to manually enter it,
yes,
right?
exactly. I'll come to that. I'll explain you what is internal and what is external. So if you want to create a new number range, you can click on this plus button. Okay, and the first line itself will be blank line where you need to enter the information. So for example, Y1 is created, Y8 is created, so Y2 is blank. I'm using Y2. These numbers which I'm using, they must be the unique numbers. They must not be used anywhere else till now. Okay, so for example, let me see if I am able to use number from 1 to 100. Okay, press enter. See, if the numbers are already used, you can see there is an error without overlaps. These numbers are already overlapping. This number 1 to 100 is already used by another number range. System will not allow you to do the overlapping. And that is the reason I have to provide the unique numbers. So Y2, I cannot take 1 to 100. Let me try this 8000 to 8999 if possible. Again, I'm getting the same error. So even this is overlapping. Okay, maybe let me try 300700 to 300799. Even this is overlap. This is a problem. So when you are working on this system, most of the numbers are already used. Okay, and that is the reason you have to find out the numbers which are not used till now. Okay, so what I can do is I can reduce the numbers from here and I can use those to.
I think that X1 we can try, if you want, the X1, because that's from 7 series to 7.2 series finishing. We can start from 7.3 to 7.5 or something. That might
Yes,
not overlap.
yes. Maybe I already changed this, so let's use this. So what I'll do is I'll copy this here Okay, and this is from 100 onwards. Okay, and I'll keep it till 199. This will definitely work because I bifurcated one number range to multiple ones. So 199. Okay, so now you are not getting any error message. If you press enter, if you are getting overlap, it will throw error. If there is no overlap, then you will not get a message. So you can see this is how I can create a new number range. I can provide the from number, to number, okay, and then the last field is related to external or internal. What is the meaning of external and internal is when you say this number is external, when you say this number range is external, you have to manually provide the number. While creation of vendor, you have to provide the number, and but that number should be between this range. Okay, you have to provide the number, but that number should be between this range. System will not automatically take the next number. When you say internal, when you don't tick this, it means it is an internal. Internal means system will automatically take the next number. Okay, so normally most of the times we keep it as internal. Okay, let's save it now. So this is how our number ranges are created. What we need to do is we need
Hello.
to assign this number ranges to the vendor account groups. Yeah, Akshay.
So if it is external, we can take any number irrespective of sequence, correct?
Exactly. If it is an external number, you have to provide the number, and it can be without sequence, but it should be within the number range.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so but just creating the number range is not enough. We need to assign this number ranges to the groupings that we created. So which groupings we created? We created RDO1. You can see by default the number range is not assigned. We have to define the number range. So let's say I'm saying Y1. For foreign, I'm saying Y8. For Indian, sorry, intercompany, we are saying Y9. And for service vendors, the one that we created is Y2. Okay, so this is where you need to assign the numbers. What will happen now is whenever I'll be creating a vendor under the domestic vendor group, under this RD01, system will take the numbers, the next number available under Y1. Okay, so looking at the number itself, I can categorize that this vendor belongs to the domestic vendors. Looking at the number itself, I can determine that the number is belonging to the foreign vendors. Right? Let's try to save it. So this is enough. If you are working on ECC system, this much configuration was enough to create a vendor master data, right? Using this much master data, you were directly going to transaction XK01 or FK01, MK01, and you were providing the vendor account group. But now the problem is, if I go to transaction XK01 or VK01, sorry, MK01 or FK01, system is not asking me the vendor account group. It is asking me BP grouping. Is system asking you vendor account group here? System is not asking you vendor account group. System is asking you BP grouping. This is BP grouping. You will not be able to see the vendor account groups that we created just now. So RDO1, RSER, and all others that we created, they will not appear here. Right? You can see those are not appearing here. So there is extra effort required now in the configuration. What we need to do is same vendor account groups that we created, we also need to create them as BP groupings also. Okay, 4 vendor account groups we created. We need to create 4 BP account groupings also. Then only system will be able to differentiate different kinds of vendors, right? So where are we going to create the BP groupings? Again, I'll go to configuration. So SPRO. IMG. Now BP groupings are not available in MM or SD or any component. It is available in cross application components. You have to go to cross application components, and here you would be able to see SAP Business Partner. Okay, go to SAP Business Partner. Within SAP Business Partner, you have to again go to the Business Partner, basic settings. Okay, within basic settings, you can see number ranges and groupings. Open this number ranges and groupings, and you can see define the groupings and assign the number ranges. This is where you need to create the BP groupings. Okay, but again, this BP groupings also you need to assign to the number range, but this number range again is not same. BP number range and vendor number range, these are two different number ranges. Okay, so before you go to the BP grouping, let's try to create the number ranges. Okay, or maybe you can use the number ranges which are already available. Let's do that. I will first create the BP groupings and I'll use the number ranges which already exist. For example, I will go with BD itself. So what I'll do is new entry. First grouping I want to create, I will keep same RDO1. Second one is RFOR. Third one is RIN1. And fourth one is RSER. Okay, short name, this is domestic, this is foreign, this is intercompany, and this is service. Okay, if you want full form, you can write RECH. This is for RECH. This is also for RECH. This is also, so this is description. This you can decide what you want to, what makes you comfortable. Okay, you means your customer. You have to propose this to your customer. Customer will tell you whether this is okay or they want some changes in the short name and the description. Okay, number range I will go with BD. I'm assigning the same number range to each grouping because I want to show you another scenario. Okay, this is done. Let's try to save it. So now once this new BP groupings are created, if you try to create a new organization, if you try to create a new vendor, this new BP groupings will appear here now. If you go to R, you can see RD01, RDO1, RE, sorry, this is not ours. So RD01, RFOR, RIN1, and RSER. These are the four BP groupings that we created just now. Why it is blank? Because we have not entered the description. If you want, you can enter the description. That description will also appear here. So you can copy this and you can paste it here. If you want to copy all, if you try like this, it will not work. So you need to see Control Y. You need to press Control Y. This plus sign will appear. Then you can select all together. Control C and Control V. Okay, save it. If you go to your BP screen once again, okay, click on new organization, and here RD, you can see RD01, RFOR, RIN1, and RSER. Okay, now let's assume I'm selecting this domestic RECH.
Are you there, Vikram?
I think we are unable to hear Vikram.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear
Yes,
you.
Vikram.
Yeah, sorry, there was some disconnection. Okay, I think we were able to create those business partner groupings, right? And then we got disconnected, right?
We created the groupings.
Yeah, we created the groupings, and now those groupings are appearing here. Okay, so with the description also, those groupings are appearing here. Now, I will first show you the same way how we created the business partner or vendor earlier. And then in the next step, I'll show you how to create the vendor as a business partner using our new groupings. Okay, first I'll use the same grouping that we used previously. So I'll go to transaction BP, click on the new organization. Okay, initially I used 0001.
Ikram, sorry to interrupt you. I think your screen is not refreshed for us.
It is not reflecting. Let me share once again.
At least for me, maybe I'm not sure about others.
No, maybe because of disconnection sometimes.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, please confirm if you are able to see it again.
Still the whole screen I have.
Let me try once again. Still same thing.
Yeah, yes, Vikram. Still same thing.
Can we show this in Fury if possible? If this one is lagging.
Sorry.
Can we do this in Fury or we'll just stick to the GUI?
No. Let's first understand the concepts. Then we will come to the theory. Seems not able to. Okay, let me try to disconnect and connect once again. So maybe I will just make maybe Akshay you as a organizer just for a few seconds so that the call doesn't get disconnected. Let me disconnect and connect again.
Are we waiting for Vikram?
I think so. We are waiting for Vikram.
Yes, yes, actually.
Hello. Can you see my screen now?
Yes,
Yes, Vikram.
yes,
Okay.
Vikram.
Okay. So what I'll do is I will first show you the same way in which we created the business partner earlier, and then I will show you using our new groupings. If we try to create the business partner, what are the different kind of errors you will get and how to resolve those errors. Okay, so I'm using the same group which I used previously, 0001, and the BP role that I'll select is FLVN00. I'm not able to select. Let's wait a minute. Let me try to disconnect and connect again the server. Okay, so FLVN00 is the role that I will select in order to create a vendor. As of now, I'm again just creating in company code, but later on I'll also show you to create in a purchasing org also. Okay, so I'll just provide some information like this is my test vendor. Again, I'm giving the same code. This is RECH. I will just provide some address information. So I'm just maintaining the address mandatory information, keeping all the other fields as blank as of now. Okay, and after filling the general information, I'll go to the company code data. In the company code data, I will enter the company code, reconciliation account that we used, sort key. Okay, and I think there was, if I try to save, there was one more mandatory field which are not entered, and that is the reason we are getting this error. So this postal code is a mandatory field. I entered this and try to save now. Okay, so see now, this is my business partner number, and if you go to the company code data, this is where you are able to see the vendor number, right? So this is business partner number and this is a vendor number. Now, let's try to understand how this business partner number got generated, how this is 152. So if you remember, when we have done the configuration for business partner groupings, we provided the number range BD, right? So whenever you will be, even if you see 0001, it is also assigned to number range BD. And if you go to number range BD, okay, in the business partner groupings, if you just go to BD, you can see the number. This is the number range out of which this number is getting generated. Okay, 152. You can see starting from 1000 to 1999, and up to now we reached at this stage. So the next number that would be generated is, according to this, the next number should be 161. Right, but I think there are some numbers generated and then those are deleted, and that is the reason the number that got generated is 152. So this number is coming from this number range that we defined when we created the business partner groupings and business partner grouping number ranges. Right. One more thing which I wanted to show you here is, this is my business partner number. Coming to the vendor number, from where the vendor number gets determined, we have done some configuration just now. From where exactly the vendor number gets determined?
Vendor grouping.
Vendor grouping. But have we provided any vendor grouping when we created this vendor?
No, no provider.
We just provided the BP grouping, but system is definitely able to determine the vendor group based on which this vendor number is generated. So if you go to general data, and in general data, if you go to vendor general data, okay, here you are able to see the account group, vendor account group. So what is happening? System is automatically determining this vendor group based on the BP grouping. So there is one more configuration in which BP grouping that you are defining here, when you are creating this BP grouping here, based on this BP grouping, system is automatically determining the vendor account group. Okay, that configuration we are still not done. Let's try to create a vendor with our groupings now, with the business partner groupings that we created. Okay, so starting with RDO something. So let's go to RDO1. Okay, and if I do the same thing, FLVN00, okay, create. And if I provide the same information once again, okay, instead of maybe test, I'll say domestic vendor, DOM vendor for RECH. Search term, I will keep it as same RECH. Then the mandatory fields like postal code, the city, the country, and the language. Okay, now if I try to go to company code data, again, if I provide the same information, that is RECH, okay, and press enter, provide the reconciliation account and the sort key also. Let's try to save it. See, we are getting the error. You cannot create a vendor with grouping RD01. So business partner grouping RD01 is not still configured properly to create a vendor. Why? Just click on this error. It may tell you the detailed information. It is not giving you the detailed. Some of the errors will give you the proper detailed information. What is missing, where to go and do the setup. Some of the errors will just give you the one-liner and it will not explain you what is wrong. Okay, but we know what is wrong. The wrong thing is that we have still not mapped this business partner grouping to our vendor account group. Okay, so that configuration, if you don't maintain, the system will not allow you to create a vendor out of the BP. Okay, so where do you need to maintain that configuration now? So these paths are very difficult to remember. Maybe once you, after this session, whenever you get a video, I will definitely provide you the PPTs for this, but you also try to maintain the notes on your own. Okay, so how exactly it will work? You have to
Vikram?
I think we again lost.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, Vikram, we cannot hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Vikram, we can hear you now.
Sorry, dear. There is some network issue today. I'm not sure what is wrong. Okay, so I was showing you that configuration from where you would be able to map the business partner grouping to the vendor account group. Okay, so that configuration is again available within cross application components. In cross application components, you will go to master data synchronization, this particular folder. Okay, this path, as I told you, is little bit complicated. So within master data synchronization, you will go to CVI, customer vendor integration. Okay, in interviews, they can ask you if you worked on S4HANA, are you aware about customer vendor integration? This is very critical configuration. So CVI, you will go to business partner settings. In business partner settings, there is a separate folder for customer integration and vendor integration. So currently we are discussing vendor integration. You will go to the vendor integration. In this field assignment for vendor integration, assign keys, and finally, this is where you need to map. Define number assignment from direction BP to vendor. You are assigning BP grouping to the vendor account group. Okay, so you'll click on this, and this is where you need to maintain the link between BP grouping and vendor account group. So in our case, RD01 needs to be assigned to RD01 vendor account group. So this is our BP grouping and this is our vendor account group. Okay, as of now, I'm not explaining you this. We will talk about this in detail. As of now, let's try to save it and click on saving this TR. Okay, so what will happen now? Now system will be able to determine the vendor account group automatically. Okay, so if you try to go to create supplier organization once again, if I try to go from scratch, which means I'll go to transaction BP. Okay, click on the new organization. So RD01 is our grouping. We want the role as FLVN00. FLV. Okay, this one, FLVN00. Click on create. Okay, provide whatever information you want. If you want to provide a complete name or whatever mandatory information you want to provide, search term. Okay, postal code and city, country, and important thing is language, which is also the mandatory field. Once this is done, you will again go to company code data. In company code data, you will enter the RECH, reconciliation account, sort key, and try to save it now. See, now we are getting the error. Required entry field external vendor number is empty. See what is happening. If you remember, the vendor number range that we created, which we assigned to RD01, was external, which means the number should be provided manually. And that is the reason system is asking us this external number. So if you go to general data, again in the vendor general data, okay, this is where you need to provide the external number. Okay, but if you provide the number which is outside the range, it will throw error. So let's assume I am just providing 100. See, it is very clearly telling the number should be in this range, 7,000 to 7,999. Okay, so coming to Akshay's question, Akshay asked this question that the number should be or must be in the same number range. Although it is external, I can skip the numbers, I can directly go to this number, that is fine. But as long as it is in the number range. Okay, so let's enter this number. It already is used, so I need to take any other number, let's say 99. Even this is already used. So yeah, so 7240, which is within the number range, and it is also available as a next number. Let's try to save it. Okay, it is asking you for this mandatory fields. We will provide this mandatory information and try to save it. Okay, so finally your business partner has been created with this number. This is a business partner number using the business partner grouping range, and this is a vendor number using vendor account group. Okay, so what we understood in SAP, if you want to create the vendor in ECC, it was created without linking the business partner. But in S/4HANA, if you want to create a vendor, you have to go to transaction BP. You have to click on the new organization button. You have to provide the business partner grouping. Let me show you once again. You have to provide the business partner grouping. You can create your own groupings based on the vendor types, right? And this business partner groupings also need to be assigned to the vendor account groups, right? There are two roles which are related to vendor, FLVN00 and FLVN01. This is another important question which is asked in exam many times. Which are the two roles related to the vendor creation, or maybe in SD exam it will come as which are the two roles related to customer master data. Okay, so FLVN00 and FLVN01 for supplier, and FLCU00 and FLCU01 for customer. Okay, so based on the vendor account group, another good example of questions which come in the exam is what is the purpose of vendor account group? So what exactly vendor account group controls?
Number range for field.
Sorry, number range. Your voice is not clear.
Field selection. Field is mandatory or not?
Field selection. Yes. Field control. Number range. Field control. Okay, there is a third one. You remember, as of now, we will discuss in detail, is whether it is a one-time vendor or not. Whether a one-time vendor. We'll talk about what is one-time vendor in our coming session. But just remember that whenever you create a new vendor account group, let me show it to you. It controls three important things. Number one is whether it is a the number range. It controls the number range, what numbers will come to that particular vendor account group. It controls the field status, which field is mandatory, which field is optional, and it also controls whether the vendor account group is for one-time vendors or the regular vendors. Okay, so master data preparation, and here you will be able to see RDO1. Okay, you can see whether it is one-time vendor. Here you can see the field status, and then here in assignment you can assign the number range. So these are the three important things which are controlled by the vendor account group. Okay, any questions?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Akshay.
Hello. Yeah. So,
Yes, Akshay, go
Vikram,
ahead.
the BP number and the vendor number, do they have one-to-one relationship, or the BP number can have multiple vendor number? At, means how this
No, it
thing?
is one to one. One BP will be assigned to one vendor.
So this will be always unique, correct?
Always unique, yes.
Okay.
So one BP cannot have multiple vendors. Similarly, one vendor cannot have multiple BPs.
Vikram, I have a question. Maybe I'm
Same for the
jumping.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shall I ask?
Hello, Raj, you were asking something?
Yeah. So I just want
Yes, yes.
to as a quick thought, because if we structure these numbers correctly with BP grouping and vendor grouping, and with a number range, I saw in the cost application component that we can have them as same numbers, is it? When I create the system,
Exactly.
okay, that's what,
Yes, yes, Raj.
because that will be like,
Yes,
say, migration. How does that impact? Because that also can be sorted, is it? If we give the, because existing vendor, if you have it in ECC, and because with S4 HANA BP is mandatory, is there a way of saying that we can put this old vendor number as external and make the new range as per the sync between BP and vendor? Is it a possibility?
yes, Raj. Both the things are possible. Number one, coming to your first question, which is relevant for all of you. So currently, the vendor that we have created, there was a separate number given to the vendor and the business partner. Okay, but that will create a confusion, right? You need to remember two separate numbers. You need to remember the custom PP number also, and you need to remember the vendor number also. So in order to simplify it, what you can do is we can provide the same number to the business partner and the vendor. Okay, so there is another configuration for that. If you want to have a same number for your BP and your vendor, it is possible with the additional configuration, right? That is number one. Number two, the question which asked, Raj asked, is related to migration. You don't need to worry as of now. Maybe I'm just trying to answer the Raj question, but migration thing we have not discussed till now. So those of you who are completely new, no need to worry at this stage. So Raj, yes, at the time of migration also, you have the vendors which you want to convert to business partners. So even at that point of time also, by making the configurations, we can ensure that the vendor numbers, whatever you have in ECC, they are converted with the same numbers are given to the business partners at the time of conversion.
Thanks.
It is practically possible. Okay. Any other questions?
In projects, which role, who does this? FI consultant, or do we have a specific role for master data or something?
No. First of all, as a as a SD, as a FI consultant, we are first responsible for maintaining the master data when the new implementation takes place. Like it is a one-time activity that we have to do before the system is handed over to the user to perform their transactions. Once that is done, the vendors will be hundreds of vendors will be created on day-to-day basis. So that part would be done by the end user. Once the go live is done, after that, whatever new vendors need to be created, that would be done by the end user. Now, in addition to the end user, if a company has a separate master data team who is taking care of all the master data, then that would be taken care by the master data team separately. But ultimately, even this master data team is a end user team, not the consultant team. So consultant is responsible only for one-time migration of initial vendors or customers which are already available in their current legacy system to migrate it to S4. But once the normal day-to-day activities are started, creating this master data is something which is responsibility of the end users. Okay, Raj? So your question was related to the creation of master data, not to the configuration, right? If you are asking from the configuration
My question was related to config, because in a project, do we have any specific consultants doing it, or anybody in FI, or it's in charge of FI guys?
No, it is our
That's what.
responsibility. Raj, it
Okay.
is our responsibility as a functional consultant to do it. So it has to be the joint responsibility of FI and MM when it comes to vendor. When it comes to customer, it is a joint responsibility of FI and SD to create the customer account groups, BP groupings, and make sure that all those are properly done so that the customer can create their own customers.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Vikram, do you have any PDFs for like understanding all these vendors and things like that in detail? Like, would you be sharing it with us?
Yes. So Vivek, what I'm doing is parallelly, I am creating the PDFs, whatever I have already shared, the SAP standard PDFs, which I already shared, but whatever I'm doing on day-to-day basis in this session, I will be capturing the screenshots of whatever transactions we have done today, and that I'll be keeping one PPT, which should be helpful for you.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think Vikram, this will be just for my understanding. If we have MDM, how does this connect to these boxes? Because the master data, some clients might have one centralized creation of master data, right? In that scenario, how do we understand this process?
So
How do
see,
we?
if you are, MDM is a completely separate module, or even a separate component altogether.
Yep.
So normally, I'm sharing the example of one of the projects where we just completed the implementation. See, we need to set up all these configurations from our end. Okay, so configurations and all will still come even if you are using MDG, MDM. The configurations of number ranges, the configuration of the account groups, BP groupings, everything has to be done by us as a functional consultants. MDG will only make the life simple for the end users who are creating the master data. Okay, so for example, if I need to create hundreds of let's say vendors on day-to-day basis, and let's assume normally MDG will only come into picture when you have multiple systems to create this vendor. Okay, so if it is one system, normally it doesn't make much sense to bring the MDG. MDG is normally required by the business where they have one SAP system, one non-SAP system, and they want to create a vendor at the same time in multiple systems. So what they do is they trigger it from MDG, and then that is available in all the other systems. It is called as a master data distribution, right? But that is something which doesn't need to be confused with what we are discussing here, because that is something which should be totally done in the MDG tool separately. From our side, all the configurations that we have done just now, this will be even required even if MDG is in place.
Yeah, I understood that. I thought MDG is about having duplicate checks and others because it's a centralized place so that we don't create all these duplicates. Most likely because we don't need to have multiple vendors, right? See, that's the reason we use MDG mostly,
right,
as you said. But yes, this setting is mandatory in our side, and the other side also it will be the same setting, is it? So that when it calls RFC call or something, it will check on based on the duplicate values we prefer, and then it will stop from creating. That's the current functionality in ECC anyway. That's the same thing in HANA also, is it? There's no change to that. So the interface is the same. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so maybe if system works fine, I just wanted to show you one additional scenario which is same number range, but it seems the system is slow. So yeah, let's try. So what I'll do is I will try to create another account group, okay, just to give you the feel, or maybe the same account group which we created already. I will make sure that the number range that is assigned to the BP grouping sorry, BP and vendor is same, so that we can generate the same numbers. Okay, let me show you. So I just shown you one configuration which is in cross application components. If you go to master data synchronization, and within the master data synchronization, customer vendor integration, business partner settings, settings for vendor, field assignment, and assign keys. Right, so this is where we maintain the configuration. Now in our case, just now what we have done is RDO. I think it is not taken. RDO. Just now we created a business partner vendor with this grouping, and system has automatically picked this grouping as a vendor account group. But the problem is the numbers, the two numbers that got generated are completely different. Okay, so if I go for the BP that we created just now, I think it was 67 or 68. Let's see, 67. Okay, so the problem is we created a business partner, but the business partner number and our vendor number, they are completely different. Now let's assume a customer tells you, no, I don't want to have separate numbers. I want this number to be same as business partner number. Okay, so in that case, how are you going to take care of that particular requirement? So if you see these groupings, if you see this configuration, there is a tick for same numbers. If I want to keep the same numbers, I can tick on this indicator. But if I just try to tick on this indicator and try to save, system will throw error. Why system is throwing error? Because the numbers are different, right? I assigned the number range which is completely different here, and I assigned the number range which is completely different here. First of all, I need to provide the same numbers to these two groupings. And number two, because I want this grouping to take the next number, which means internal, and this vendor account group must be external to take the same numbers. Okay, this is another mandatory criteria. If you want the same numbers, your vendor account group must be set as external. If it is internal, it will not take the numbers. Right, so these are the two important criteria for having the same number. Number one, the numbers must be same in the number range. Number two, vendor account group number range must be set as external. Okay, so what is wrong currently? We know our vendor account group number range is already external. Okay, let's go and see the first criteria. Sorry, the second criteria is already matching. The first criteria is not matching. The numbers are different in both the number ranges. So for that, I have to go to IMG. Okay, here I will go to financial accounting, AR, and AP, vendor accounts, master data, preparation, and account groups. Okay, or maybe the number ranges. So what is the number range assigned currently?
Is external for this one, right? So RD01 we have to assign now, I think.
Yeah, I think it is Y1, right?
Yeah.
RDO1 is assigned to Y1.
Yeah, Y1, yeah, first one, the external one.
All right. Server is too slow. I don't know why. At your end also, you are facing the slowness in the server, or it is working fine?
It's okay.
Working fine.
Maybe my network
Vikram,
issue. Yes.
This could have been a joint session with the FI guys, right? Because they also need to know this, is it?
They need to know, but the thing is, see, if I take the joint sessions, I'm going in too much of detail for FI. For example, we have discussed yesterday the material groups and a lot of other things. So the problem is they also need to come at this stage so that they can understand this BP. Normally, this BP part I cover only after in FI, only after the GL accounting and all is done. So definitely they will be also this kind of session, but it will take them a lot of time to reach at that stage.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I was initially planning, but I thought maybe the sequence will be very difficult for them to digest. Okay, so we created Y, right? And we wanted to check whether it is external or internal. I'm 100% sure it is external, but let's cross verify so that we are 100% sure that our first criteria is matching. Okay, so Y1 is external and the numbers are from 7,000 onwards to 7,999, right? Which means the same numbers I have to assign to my business partner also. Then only system will determine the proper same numbers, right? So I need to go to the business partner settings and I need to provide the same number range to my business partner groupings also. Okay, which means I need to come out. Let's go to the cross application components.
Vikram, I have a question. Can I ask before you?
Yes, go ahead.
The Y1 is, you have changed it to internal or external still?
Y1 is external.
Okay, but if we give one as external, the other one as internal, the system one is going to pick on its own. It will not know what's the number, whichever is available next will not match, right? It has to be both internal, I believe.
No,
Then
no,
only. Okay, yeah, thank you. Just a question.
no. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you. Yes, I'll tell you why it is to be external. Okay, so first of all, I'm in the business partner, and in the business partner, I will go to business partner again. And here I need to go to basic settings and I have to create a new number range first of all, which is 7,000 to 7,999. I hope it is not already used. If it is already used, then I have to provide some other number altogether. Let's see, I'll say Y1. This is not mandatory. I'm just trying to keep it same, but it can be different. Numbers must be same. So 7,000 to 7,999. Okay, Y1 already exists. Maybe I will say P1 or something. Let's see. Or Y9. I think everything they have used here. Not left with anything. Okay, Y6. It has tipped the Y6, and luckily the numbers are available. Okay, which means we can continue with this number range. See, now the problem is we already created some vendors which are already created under this number range. And that is the reason if I keep this internal, what will happen is system will definitely try to create the first. Oh, just 1 minute. This number seems to be same, right? So let me change. It is allowing the overlap here. Okay, now there is no overlap. So this one, Y1, if I keep it as, which one we created? Y6 we created just now, right? Yeah, Y6. So if I keep this as internal, what will happen? System will try to create the first number as 7,500. I think which should be fine. So let's go ahead with this. Let's try to save it. But the problem is we have to change the number of our vendor also, because 7,000 number is already used here. You can see I cannot, even if I delete this, these numbers are already used. right? And that is the reason I have to create a, if it is creating a confusion, let's try to keep it very simple. Let's do one thing. First, the business partner number. Okay, I'll see which business partner range is free. So I'll go to new and I will go to Y6 directly, which we just created. I think it is not saved. So let me go to Y6 and maybe Y7 because 6, I think it is already there in the background. So let me try some number here, 9001 to 9999. Enter. Overlap. The overlapping is a big problem here. They are not appearing in the sequence also. At least if they are appearing in sequence, okay, let's do one thing. I am removing this 1 digit from here, which means at least this number I can use now. So starting with 8100. Are you understanding? If you are confused, let me know so that I can explain you very clearly. I know this is a little bit tricky. 8100000999. Okay, so this one, I'm creating a completely independent number range now. Okay, you can see it is not used, so I can definitely go ahead with this. So enter and try to save. But now I need to provide the same number to my vendor account group also, right? Then only system will be able to determine the same number. So let me copy, and here last 4 digits are 999. So I have to again go to the business partner, sorry, again go to the vendor account group number ranges. So IMG, financial accounting, ARAP, vendor accounts. I'm using this path. I can directly go to the transaction code also, but I prefer to go with the path so that it is very clear in your mind. You can go to create number range. Okay, I'll create a completely new number range. I think Y7 is available here also. Only thing is that number that we are using should be available again. So this number and ending with 1, 2, 3, 4. This one. Good, it is available. Okay, so I'm as of now, because I need to explain you why I want to keep it as external. Okay, I'm not touching it. I'm keeping it internal itself. Okay, let's see.
The
Y7 is internal. Yeah, you were saying something?
No, I think I got it, because in the CVI, customer vendor integration, if we select that as the same number, it takes it up from here. I think that might be the logic on that function. Yeah,
Exactly.
I got that.
Okay, let's see now. So now let's try to save it here and see what happens. So if I try to map RDO1 with same numbers. Okay, if I take on same number, now the numbers are same, right? Both the numbers is BP grouping is also following Y7, which is starting with 81, and vendor account group is also following Y7, which is also starting at 81 and ending with 999. So the numbers are same now. Let's try to save. See, now we are getting, oh, it is still saying the same thing. Number ranges for groupings RD01 and account group RD01 are different. Sorry, we have created the number range, but we have not assigned it to our vendor account group, right? We just created this Y7. We need to assign this Y7 to our vendor account group. Okay, same for BP also. So for account group RDO1,
Hello, sir. Hello.
It is assigned as Y1. We need to change it to Y7. Yes.
Sir, actually, what you are saying is reflecting after that is might look confusing actually. Sir.
The screens are slow, right?
Yes, 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 sir. Actually.
Okay, I'll go slow. This is fine now. You understood why I assigned Y7? I created Y7 with numbers from 8100 to 81999, and the same number range I am assigning to vendor account group. Now same thing I have created for BP also, so that I have to assign to the BP grouping also. So let me go to cross application components. If the system is slow now, it creates some confusion. So maybe we will complete this topic today, and next one we will start in the next session. Anyways, we are about to close. So in business partner, if you go to business partner and basic settings and then number ranges, just ensure that your grouping, which is again RDO1, okay, so RDO1 is assigned to, what should I write here? Same, Y7, because we have created the BP grouping number range as Y7, which we are assigning it here. So now both the numbers are same. My BP grouping as well as my vendor account group are following the same number ranges. Okay, so now that error, what we were getting when we are taking the same numbers, should go away. Let's try. So I'm going to that screen once again. Okay, and try to press enter. Now you can see the error is different. If I click on this, you'll be able to see the error in detail. Are you able to read the error? Has not been defined externally. Right, now let me explain why this external is important. Okay, why it is not taking internal. Let's assume this is your BP number and this is your vendor number. So I created a BP number 1001. I created the vendor also with 1001, completely fine. Based on the next number, system has taken from the next number. 1002, let's assume I have not created this vendor at all. I just created a business partner, but without creating it as a vendor. What will happen next? The BP next number is 1003. What is the next number for vendor if I go for internal number range?
1002.
1002. So this is wrong, right?
Yeah.
I will not achieve what exactly I'm looking for. I'm looking for the same number. So even if 1002 was not created as a vendor, whenever 1003 is created, I want this to be same. And that is the reason I don't want internal number range. I want external number range. What this external number range will do, it will copy the number from BP automatically. It will not take its own number, it will just copy from BP. And that is the reason vendor number must be external. If vendor number is not external, this will not work. Okay. So again, you will go back to AP and AR configuration, and you will make sure that this number is also set as external. Okay, so here in the create number, yes.
Hello. So if BP number
Yes, go
range
ahead.
is yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, actually, I
Hello.
can hear you very clearly.
Yeah. So now if BP number range is exhausted and not the vendor number range, so but in this case we have to extend both BP and vendor if BP got exhausted. Correct?
So See, Akshay, if the number is exhausted, you mean to say that the number, end number of BP and end number of vendor is different? If that is the
Uh-huh.
case, system will not allow at all.
No. Number, see, as we can see, you just mentioned that it skips few of the numbers from vendor. Okay, if the we maintain Y7 as for customer and vendor both, so we have created few customer, then it the number got assigned to customer BP number, and now BP last number is there, okay, for the last vendor, okay, but there are a few vendor numbers which are still unused.
Hmm?
So in this case, we have not fully used the number range of vendor, but we have exhausted the number range of BP, so we need to extend both in this case.
Exactly. Because the numbers which you have skipped, you are not going to use it. Otherwise, the same number concept will not work. No?
Yeah, okay, but
So you have to create, you have to extend both the number ranges.
okay,
Yes.
got it.
Okay. So I am clicking on this, which means my external number is active. Now, once this is done, then system will allow you to save that settings. And next time, whenever you try to create a new vendor, new BP, system will automatically take the same number for BP as well as vendor. Okay, so let's try now. If I try to save it once again, I think it's already being used. So let's come out, back. Let's go to RDO1. Okay, and I'll click on same number. Let's try to save. Okay, so now system has allowed us to save this particular configuration because the numbers are same and the vendor account group number range is set to external. Okay, so those were the two prerequisites. Okay, that question can come in the exam also. What are the two prerequisites of having the same numbers for BP as well as vendor or customer? Number one is the numbers in the number range must be same. Number two, the vendor or the customer number range must be set as external. Okay, that is a basic two prerequisites without which system will not allow you to have the same numbers. Okay, now if you try to create a new business partner using this new group that we created, BP grouping, you will find that the system is providing the same numbers to your BP as well as to your vendor. Okay, so new organization, make sure that the grouping is correct. So RD01, which is correct grouping. In business partner, I'll go to FLVN00. Okay, click on create. I'm providing the same information. Again, providing the mandatory information. If you know the full details, you need to enter the full details. Okay, you will go to company code tab. In company code, you will select your company code, press enter. Reconciliation account sort key and try to save. Search term is a mandatory field. Let me go to the general data. I think I missed that field. This is a mandatory field. Let me enter the value. Okay, let's go to company code once again and make sure that these values are there and try to save it. Okay, can you see the number now? Same number has been generated for business partner and same number is available for the vendor also. So there is no confusion. Both BP as well as vendor are using the same number. Okay, this is only possible if those two prerequisites are met. Clear on this? Any questions?
Yeah, thank you. I think this concept was there with SRM and CRM also. The same how ECC gets the number range. That's the same thing we have done it here.
Yes, Raj, there is nothing new. Whatever we have discussed now in BP, there is nothing new. Same thing was there in ECC. Only thing is because it was not mandatory, normally from MM and SD point of view, we were not using it. If you are on CRM and SRM, then only we were using this concept. But now, even if you are not using CRM, SRM, even if you just want to create a vendor in MM or a customer in SD, then also this is something which is mandatory to be done. Okay.
Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, so what we will do tomorrow is we will see some of the tables also in the background. Okay, so whenever we are creating the master data, first of all, we will start with that material master where we got stuck today. I need to check the field status and all. I will come to you on that, and then we will talk about the tables, which tables are getting affected in the background, how the data is. Tables means whenever you store any information in SAP, it is in the background, it is stored in the tables. So there are some important tables that we all should know, which tables are used at what transactions and how to see the information available in the table. That part we will see tomorrow along with some additional settings on master data. And once we are done with master data, we will try to do some transactions if possible tomorrow, otherwise starting from the next session.
Thanks.
Okay, Raj. Thank you all. Any questions before we close?
Sir, actually last PPT is not opening actually for enterprise structure, sir. I think there's some problem. Actually.
Yeah,
It is
actually,
not
that's
yet.
not opening for me also.
Okay, maybe I have not converted it to PPT or PDF. It is, I think, the Apple format, so maybe I need to convert. Let me check it today. Okay, thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.